This track will be chaired by Mr. Clément Chauvet, and the speakers are Ms. Shilpa Pople, Mr. Suresh Krishna, Mr. Arjun Panchal, and Dr. R. Raman. I shall now hand over the dais to the chair, Mr. Clément, to proceed with the discussions of this track.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So after the good session that we had on skill, employment, and education, the idea right now is that we're going to go for something that might interest a lot of you, which is more about the entrepreneurship now. There is not only employment, and as everybody knows in India especially, the growth that we have seen over the last few years, it's considered more as a kind of a jobless growth. So how we can, through entrepreneurship, create employment. So just before we start, just a short story. Actually, I came this morning from Delhi. Thankfully, there was somebody to pick me up at the airport, just a young student named Arpit. And actually, Arpit asked me a question when I was in the car coming up to the university. And he asked me if I had any kind of advice for him for his career, and he wanted to put up a startup. So there were two things that for me came to mind. First one, that I'm actually getting quite old, because right now people are actually asking for advice and wisdom, which is not always that nice. But passing that up, I wanted to give some advice which could be a bit more concrete than the generic one. So I get up first this idea of embracing failure, the idea of collaboration, but I say, okay, but that's quite generic. And I say, well, whatever I learned, and especially over the last few years here, which I work in a team, and I work as well with a lot of partners, do a lot of meetings and stuff, etc. One of the things I learned is that actually it's better first to listen to others. I don't have much of technical capacity, to be honest, and especially on entrepreneurship. And there are a lot of experts which know much better than I do. So this is the advice that I gave him, that when you are in a meeting, when you are in a conference or something, first listen to what others has to say, and then get that perspective, and at the end you can actually be and push others to and collaborate more. So as charity start at home, I will actually do that. I won't speak much about entrepreneurship or what's my perspective, but because I have the opportunity to have a lot of experts as part of this panel, so I'm going to stop there for the introductory part of it, and I'm going to let them speak. And then at the end of it, perhaps I will give you my own perspective. Yeah? So on that note, we're going to start with you, Shilpa. So Shilpa will be able to provide you with a much better sense of what the ecosystem in entrepreneur, because she is actually funding a small and medium enterprise. So the way that she do it and the kind of criteria that she goes through. So Shilpa.
So good afternoon, and thank you very much SSC for inviting me for this exciting session on entrepreneurship and employment, because both are the subjects close to my heart, because we have been financing micro, small and medium enterprises throughout last around 20-25 years, and because of that we keep on meeting entrepreneurs, and every entrepreneur I think is a different story, and every story is very exciting, because every entrepreneurship goes through a journey in itself, and they have their own problems, they have their own issues, but there is a lot of excitement of building a business. So I'm not going to speak about anything which is like related to economics as such. I'm just going to speak about my experiences, and those experiences are straight out from you can say from streets of India, from industrial areas of India, and whatever we have seen through these financing these small enterprises. So in very short about EFL, which is my company, just to give you all a perspective where I'm coming from. So we ourselves, we started as MSME long back, because my father started this electronica group around 45 years back, and we started in a 200 square feet workshop. So you can understand that we are straight coming from the real MSME space, and we have done whatever we have done throughout all these years. So our vision is creating success stories for businesses. We are leading an NBFC in MSME space, I can say, because MSME focused NBFCs are very few as such in India. We have around 1150 crore AUM. AUM is asset size, assets under management, and we have 45 branches across India. So that is just a little bit of background on Electronica Finance Limited, which is the company. So why MSME? The MSME is sole focus of EFL. So you can see the statistics. I don't know. This statistic must have been discussed throughout last 2.5 days. So there are around 6.34 crore MSMEs in India, and contributing to 40% exports. See, predominantly I will be speaking about manufacturing industry because we take care of manufacturing industry much more. So we have started with service industry and other things, but that is quite recent. So our predominant focus is on manufacturing industry. So these industries, they contribute 40% of total exports, generating around 11 crore, 69% of employment opportunities. So MSMEs are actually the growth engine of the economy. So that is where the real employment gets generated, that is where the real value addition happens, much more than the large enterprises which we see and which we keep on talking about as a whole. So there are vast employment opportunities in MSMEs, that is what we have seen. Employment in organized sector will be reducing. I think that must have been discussed again due to various things, due to automation, robotics, big data, analytics, everything. So I will give a small example of our own customer from Kolhapur. So this customer is into manufacturing of auto components. So auto components are components which are required by all the vehicles. So there the customer has a huge machine shop where he employs around 1,000 people. So right now he has gotten into automation and robotics, and when he started implementing this, actually he showed me that because of this automation and the robotics, which he has purchased, because of that he is in a position to replace 8 people, and maybe one robo will do the job for these 8 people. So clearly what is happening is, because these new technologies which are coming in are much more efficient and much more you can say worthy of investment, the customers also, they are looking at investing in automation and robotics. So much of work which was actually available for skilled labor, that is going to reduce. And when I asked the customer that why are you going to do it, he told me there is a simple answer that these robots will not take sick leaves, and they will not go on holidays for a couple of months the way generally the labor goes and all that. So that is one of the points. Then in the small businesses, which is the informal sector of the economy, and that is very exciting, so I am going to speak a little bit more about that. These small businesses which form the informal sector of the economy, they contribute around 50% of India's GDP. That is the situation today. So most of the informal cash economy and the things which we keep on talking about, which generally doesn't get calculated, that forms 50% of India's GDP. So in a young country like us, like India, entrepreneurship matters. According to me, entrepreneurship matters much more than employment generation due to all these above facts. So employment generation in the real sense happens into MSME segment, in the informal segment of the economy. So manufacturing segment, this is our customers' experience into manufacturing. There is a serious problem of skilled labor. So getting skilled labor is a real challenge. If you talk about Maharashtra, skilled labor will not be available here in Maharashtra. So all the workers whom they will get, they will be coming either from Bihar or from these states. And there will be a major problem of getting the required skill. So the skilled labor is not available. Same is the case with appropriate manpower for managerial and white collar jobs. To the extent that few of the customers have told me that if I get a good manager, I will be able to grow my business. Because generally, typically these MSME entrepreneurs, they are one-man show. One person is managing everything, right from marketing to manufacturing to finance to everything. So that is a bigger challenge. So he says, even if I get one good manager, maybe I will be able to grow my business to a double to what I am doing today. So on one hand, we have problem of unemployment. On the other, we cannot get required quality of people, and we don't get trained manpower. So our experience means, I'm talking from my organization perspective, our problem is when we hire, we do not get the quality manpower which we want. The quality manpower I'm talking about the people who will be job ready, the people we can hire and actually we can put them on job immediately. So we don't get that kind of people. We have to hire and we have to train a lot. We have to at least train for 6 months and make them productive. So that takes a lot of time for us. Then I mentioned people are not job ready, and there is a large skill gap. So theoretical learning and practical delivery, there is vast difference. So maybe the young MBAs, the young graduates we hire, they have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but when it comes to practical working experience, they don't have that. And that is a major challenge for us. And education institutes, to a great extent, they are not successful in training people and filling this gap. Again, entrepreneurship in India, it is growing definitely. What we have seen throughout the years is across, at all levels, entrepreneurship is definitely growing. And because there is a stable business environment right now, initiatives like Startup India, Make in India, because of that there is a support for entrepreneurship overall. And of course reforms like GST implementation, because of that also entrepreneurship is growing. So overall the environment is definitely good for entrepreneurship in the country. So what is the need of the hour? Need of the hour is create more entrepreneurs, which is done fabulously by India UNINC. So India UNINC, I think, is the word which is quite in right now, but I will thank Captain Raghu Raman for this word, because I heard it quite recently, and it is a fantastic video which is available, and all of you, if you are really interested in what I'm talking about the informal segment, you should definitely have a look at that. It is something like learnings from the streets of India, leadership lessons from the streets of India. So the word India UNINC, India UNINC is borrowed from that, and I think it is used quite a lot nowadays. So this is informal sector. These are marginalized, unorganized sector, which I'm talking about, mostly uneducated or less educated entrepreneurs. So here I'm practically talking about mostly the service industry, and in smaller cities like tier 3, tier 4 cities of the country, semi-rural areas, where the employment also gets generated to a great level. Most of our customers in this segment, in these smaller cities and in unorganized segment, they are not even one of them will be about 10th passed. So, and all of them are great entrepreneurs, to say so. Entrepreneurship is, to the extent that I thought that entrepreneurship is inversely proportional to education in this segment at least. So if a person actually gets a degree, he will be standing somewhere in some line to get a job. But if he doesn't get the formal education, then he will think of something he would want to learn, and he would want to implement, and he would want to really start something and build an enterprise of his own. This is a picture, if you can see, it is a picture of a kirana shop in Surat. I was here just last week, and why I thought of putting this picture is, it was very fantastic. Means you see a small shop here, but it was not only this small shop. This customer which you see in the picture, he, in addition to this small shop, actually, because whatever income he generated out of this shop, he had purchased the building which is seen next to the shop. In that, he had purchased rooms, and those were provided on rent to a few people. And these people, they were all unorganized workers. So unskilled workers or skilled workers. And these workers actually, they were staying and they were giving him rent. So he thought that they will be needing drinking water, because drinking water in that part of Surat is a big problem. So then he thought of providing water to these people. So that is a steady income stream, additional income stream for him in addition to this shop. And now he was asking for a loan from us to put up his own water plant. So he's planning to manufacture water bottles, which we see, these kind of water bottles, Bisleri and all. So he's planning to manufacture those water bottles and supply to these people. And that is a very different business for this unorganized sector customer. Of course, uneducated. Of course, he doesn't have any degree. But it's a fantastic business model. So the business models which we see in this unorganized sector are very different, and they are fantastic. So constraints and solution. There is a huge credit gap, of course, in this segment, because informal segment don't get the funds. Formal segment, at least, there is a way to get financing. This informal segment, there is a huge credit gap. There is hunger for expansion. The customer I was mentioning about. Okay, I'll try to be fast. So the hunger for expansion is there, and they would want to grow their own businesses. They want to start different activities to support their own income streams. There is access to credit. If there is access to credit, then these businesses will definitely grow and will provide employment opportunities at the local level. So we are talking about small cities and small villages here. So if employment is generated at that level, then that is much better, because then the flow of people to the cities will reduce. So these tier 3, tier 4 and smaller cities and their economies are also very, very important. And most of the business environment in this tier 3, tier 4 cities is thriving and growing very well. This is the last slide, in fact, and I was not planning to include it, but I said if I don't include it, and then that is also not good. So I will take just a couple of minutes more.
Spokeswoman, so you can go.
So it is of course about women in employment. This is again my own experience, and this is what I see throughout the industry. Entire workplace and the timings of any work, they are organized and planned considering male employees only. So whatever the priorities of the women, priorities of families, they are not taken into consideration in any workplace. My workplace is also not an exception, but I would want to make a difference in that. In unorganized as well as organized sector, the drop in working women is much more after marriage and childbirth. That is one major factor. Because of this, the situation is that today, in earlier panel discussion, we heard that the girls, 13 to 19-year-old, the girls, they don't want to work, but actually they don't want to get married. But actually, my experience is that because they know that there is a huge responsibility which is coming their way after marriage and all that, they would not even want to get into organized work. And that is a major problem today. And 3 out of 4 women today don't work. And that is a major problem. To change this, we have to create organizations which are women friendly, and the solution is more women in leadership positions. Because if there are women in leadership positions, then only problems of women will be taken into consideration, workplaces will be more women friendly, and then more women will be employed, and that will create a huge difference. So the statistics shows that increasing women labor force participation by 10% could add to around $700 billion to India's GDP by 2015. So that is a simple statistic. So even if 10% more women work, this is the addition to GDP we are talking about. It's a huge percentage, and I think something has to be done about that. It's a huge subject. It is a matter of maybe another discussion, but I thought I should at least touch upon the point about women and employment, women in workforce. So that's all from my side. If time is there, I would want to play a 1.5-minute video which gives the glimpse of the customer segment which I am talking about. And this is just a sum up whatever I spoke about. Thank you.
very much for what you just presented, and I believe that yes, it's very useful as part of that ecosystem to make sure that, and because as you say, one of the main problems that India and Inc. is actually facing is the lack of financing and the lack of credit. So a big organization that, as you, for sure is going to make a lot of difference. I have a few questions for you, but I might keep that for the end of it. So perhaps we can go right now to Suresh. Suresh, you're going to take it from a bit of a different perspective, but which I believe will be also very, very useful for the student, which is more from the social enterprise part of it. So please, your call.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. So it's an honor and privilege for me to come to this wonderful campus. In fact, when we came yesterday night, I was a little late in the night. The drive was very wonderful. I was wondering where we are going onto the hill. So when I actually went inside, it was a very beautiful campus. So I'm so happy to be here. And the topic for the day, it's so pertinent, and it keeps. We all keep thinking about it, what next and what is our future going to be. I think the earlier panel did talk about, and I think Mr. Clem asked you, how many people know what jobs you're going to be doing in the probably next 10 years, 20 years? That's a question which keeps bothering us also quite a lot. I actually, just to give you a little background so that you know where we come from, I represent the Yunus social business in India. I have a background in microfinance, which was based on the Grameen Bank model of Bangladesh. I don't know how many of you know Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who was the Nobel laureate who got Nobel Prize for setting up the microfinance bank in Bangladesh. And of course, the same is replicated across the country. We started off way back in '99 as a microfinance company, when it was even not called microfinance. It was just called the microcredit, usually done as NGOs trying to do something in the back. That's how we all started. But today it happens to be a large industry in India. We have more than 1 lakh of crores in book size in the industry. We have got more than 100 companies which are there. The company which I started off, we became a non-banking finance company in 2007, and then today it's a listed company which has a balance sheet size of about $1 billion. So I stepped out of that a couple of years back to see if we can do something in different sectors. So finance is very, very important, but it is insufficient for growth. It is a very important factor which influences what one can do, but it stops short of certain things. That's what my experience was when we were lending to more than 1 million women across the country. Today, my company itself reaches out to more than 2.5 million across about 8 states in this country. So I don't know how many of you have known Dr. Yunus and his work. So I would not go, I had made a presentation, but I feel that it is slightly irrelevant because a lot of statistics has already been bombarded at you. So I would just take a few minutes to look at what solutions we can actually look at from thinking differently. In fact, earlier when we were doing the break, I think Madam was asking, we have all these problems. We have 400 million children. How do we employ them? How do we skill them? What do we skill them in? What are we going to be doing? These are the questions which I think the last 3 days I'm sure you're all thinking about. So we, from the Yunus side, we have thought about a few things, what we should be doing. In fact, if you have not read it, please do read the book, The World of Three Zeros, which is written by Dr. Yunus, where he talks about the solutions for the future. What the world needs to be looking at is zero poverty, zero unemployment, and zero net carbon emissions. I think if you have not read that book, please do read that. So why we are talking about this, my company, we've set it up as an NBFC, which is supporting social businesses. So we need to understand what social businesses are. So probably there is a small 2-minute video. I'll not play my presentation, but instead I'll play the 2-minute video for you, which kind of summarizes what I want to tell you. If it comes.
This works to solve a social problem. But like a business, what's the difference between a social business and traditional business? Like a charity, a social business works to solve a social problem.
But like a business, it's also financially sustainable because all profits are reinvested to help the business grow and benefit society. What is the difference between a social investor and a traditional investor? A traditional investor invests for his own benefit. A social investor invests to benefit others. At Eunice Social Business, we help connect social investors with social businesses for a very special purpose, to address the world's most pressing problems, such as nutrition, energy, environment, education, and health. We do this through social business incubator funds. Our local incubator teams search for and create social business opportunities to help communities in need by developing a social business plan, providing real-world business training, and opening doors to useful networks. When these businesses become successful, the social business pays back the initial investment, so the same dollar can be recycled to help more social businesses. Same dollar, new social business. In Haiti, we've invested in a bakery that produces fortified bread for the local community suffering from malnutrition. This bakery has created a social impact at every stage of the value chain by generating demand for the local farmers, creating local employment, and most importantly, producing affordable nutrients so that even the poorest citizens can live healthier lives. Eunice Social Business is driven by enthusiastic, international consulting, finance, and development professionals in countries like Haiti, Albania, Brazil, Tunisia, Togo, and Germany. And we're also expanding to other countries. We are Eunice Social Business, and we are passionate about developing business solutions to solve the world's greatest social problems.
Thank you. Because this was not made for you, but it was a general one which we had made. I thought it's very relevant. Some parts might not be necessarily relevant for you, but I think generally, it's a lot parts of it is very relevant. So we have been always thinking, to solve problem from the same systems which created those problems. So unless we actually start using different systems to solve the problems, we'll be still stuck with the same problems. So that's what we are trying to do as Eunice Social Business. So probably I would just stop here because I'm sure the video actually says most of the stuff what I wanted to tell you. I can take Q&A and answer many other questions if you want, but just one thought I want to leave it. This world is changing. There's a lot of problems which we have already created, which is out staring at us. There are good things which has happened with the kind of systems which were created in this world. It created this massive good technology. The knowledge which we are able to access today is because of all that what we have achieved with the current systems what we have. But the current systems has also created certain problems like wealth concentration. I'm sure you would have read about that. So it is also creating technologies which is probably going to take away our jobs and livelihood. We don't know what we are going to be doing in the future. At least as of now, it is not immediately saying, but I'm sure we all, for the last 3 days you talked about it, which actually says that we don't know what we'll be doing in the near future. So I would just like to end with one statement, we all need to change to the new world. Otherwise, we will have to change anyway. We can reduce our pain if we prepare ourselves and change ourselves. I'll stop here and take questions and answers later. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Suresh. Really nice. And I actually believe that definitely social enterprise are part of the solution for tomorrow. And we can see that from the young people that I've been working with. Most of them actually they are driven by purpose. They are not only driven by profit. The purpose actually become the new currency in the world. Meaning to say that they will be more interested to work for something that they know can do good at some point and can do good for the community and other than just can do good for themselves. So I believe you're right on track and everything that you're doing is actually quite commendable. So thanks a lot for that. I might have a few questions after that later on as well. But let's go to Arjun. So Arjun is a practitioner. Arjun is an entrepreneur, so he has created his own business as well. So listening from him would be very important. And also especially listening to how we create that link between entrepreneurship and creation of employment or employment generation. And this is a bit about what he's going to explain. Arjun, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you so much, SSC, Dr. Jyoti, for inviting, Dr. Deepa. Thanks, Dr. Raman, for introducing me. It's very challenging for me to speak here because with a startup called Papa Zapata, I teach entrepreneurship also. I take lectures of 2 hours, and if you ask me to finish in 10 minutes, it's challenging. So, Mr. Clement, please ring a bell. So I should stop in 10 minutes. Lot of things to speak in 10 minutes. I'll try to we'll try to go in depth and crux of creating employments and connecting that to entrepreneurship. In 10 minutes, we'll try to bring the crux and we'll try to go in depth. And so, the first and foremost question, or maybe, this question arises, are there enough entrepreneurship opportunities in India? This question, to answer this question, we'll go step by step, one by one. Too many opportunities, or there is no opportunity in India? What's the answer? Yes? Any answer? Just like in too many opportunities or very less opportunities? Very less? Somebody is saying like too many in India? Too many. And somebody is saying too. So, when it comes to entrepreneurship opportunities, it is divided into two. First is external opportunities and second is personal opportunities. So, external opportunities, people are saying that food industry is growing with 17%, 18%, or this industry is growing, or this industry is reducing. So that's external opportunities. And second is the personal opportunity. Yes, I want to do something, whatever it is. I have passion in fashion industry. No matter it's growing or not, I just want to start my business. That's your passion. Second, personal reason to start the startup is family background. And third could be experience. Last 4 experience, your past experience. So in last 4 years, what I experienced, where do you think out of 2, there is more possibility to generate entrepreneurs? Through external opportunities or by personal? What do you think, guys? Personal. I quit my job from US. It was a very handsome package. Nothing to boast, but a very handsome package from California. Quit my job, came back to India. I had passion for food industry. I have passion for food industry. What will happen? I didn't know in 2015 that this industry is going with 17%. I don't know. I just want to do it. So more, and what I experienced in the last 4 years, more entrepreneurs are getting generated out of their personal reasons. But with education, I have realized the importance of knowing the external opportunities also. We should know the external opportunities also. So that's why I'll give you the reason. So the next question, how to generate employment or how to nurture entrepreneurship? That's the question. In next 3 minutes, let's see like what's the best way to nurture entrepreneurship. We'll go in reverse order. The aim of entrepreneurship is definitely to generate wealth and help others. And the byproduct is generating employment also. So if you ask Suresh sir, his motivation to generate employment, great. We really appreciate people like, but these people are very less in India. First they want to earn money and then generate employment. So employment is byproduct of entrepreneurship. So we'll go in reverse order. We want to generate employment. How? Through entrepreneurs. If we have more entrepreneurs, more employment. How to generate more employment? Entrepreneurs now. They have passion or they need to understand the opportunity, external opportunities. Or bring out passion in them. Or make them realize they are passionate about it. And motivate them. And how to motivate them? Or let them know there are opportunities through financial support and guidance. We have institute, MBA and IND, SIBM. These institutes need to be more in India. where 2 years are given dedicated to all students to make them realize how to nurture their passion, or if they don't have passion. How many of you do think like you are very confident about your passion and want to pursue? Few. If you don't have, nothing wrong in that. We are people who are confused, many people, and that's totally fine. But we can guide the external opportunities also and make them start their businesses. I didn't have guidance, and because of guidance, Papa Zapata is Papa Zapata is a Mexican Indian fusion that we started 3 years before. We have total 4 outlets to this point. It's a Mexican quesadilla, enchiladas, burritos, nachos, tacos. How many of you love nachos here? Oh, I got the customers. Thank you for inviting me here. So,
You should have brought some tacos.
yeah, at the end of the class, we always, keep a party and small parties. So, I didn't know about how to start the business. I just quit my job. And then I was so scared, now what, I quit the job. It took me 10 months to do the research. I won't call it waste of time, but it took elongated the time definitely. With guidance, it could have. And not only time, there is money also. We lost, just to share, nothing to hide, we lost 18 to 19 lakh in one store. If you ask me now, had I had guidance that time, you would not have lost that money also. So guidance and financial support, very important. And last but not least, these people come for these institutes for the guidance, but who will motivate them? That's the society opinion and government support. Just a funny incident. So I was talking to my aunt in Mumbai, and she is in HR. She's in HR. I was talking to her, and he was talking like, Rishi is my cousin. So what's Rishi? So he has done BE now, just last month. So I talked to Buaji, like, you think like Rishi should go for entrepreneurship, or you think like from HR perspective, employment is important. Yeah, important. Employment is important. We should generate employment. Yes, we should do. We need to have entrepreneurs. Yeah, we need to have entrepreneurs in India. Okay, so what's Rishi's plan like? I think he should start the business then. No, I think let him complete the MBA and then do job, and then he'll think. So mindset, opinion about entrepreneurship, we should little take risk, little take. Not like quitting job completely, but yeah, at least to have changed the mind. It will take time, but yes. And then government support. Make in India, stand up India, skill India. And these are there definitely on papers. And definitely they are helping also. But to make them more effective, we need to have the second point, guidance and financial support. I'll talk in the next slide how to increase the financial support. And obviously they need to make them realize the opportunity, more entrepreneurs, and last, we can generate more employment space. Quickly, I want to touch base on proud women entrepreneurs, like how women are also benefiting and leveraging the atmosphere of growing this entrepreneurship. So I just want to mention like my friends and very close to in my friend circle. So Jayarati, she's founder of Rock Paper Scissors. You can find her on Insta. Corporate gifting, fantastically doing well. Sneha Agrawal, social entrepreneurship. She started Sanisa. They make wonderful chocolate, guys. Wonderful chocolate, just like equivalent to Lindt or Godiva in US Swiss chocolates. Sanisa. That's Jagrati Khabia, that you can. In last 6 months, they have grown this company. Happy Pencil, their startup, Happy Pencil. They make the pencil out of newspapers, used newspapers. Fantastic. Social entrepreneurship, and they're growing well. My sister-in-law, Namrata Panchal, she has started Yoga Spirits in Bhopal, doing very good, excellently. And the next, it could be you. Definitely, with your passion or making realize the entrepreneurship with systematic education of entrepreneur. What do you think, guys? Like, out of curiosity, do you think like entrepreneurs are born or they could be made? Mr. Clement is there to ring the bell. So please, I know that it's a lunchtime. So, entrepreneurs are made or they're inborn? They're born? They could be made. So no research has found like exact percentage of it, but yes, you need to have passion plus, yes, motivation and guidance is equally important. So, one more question, last 2 minutes I'll take. Is there enough employment in India? No? So we talked about entrepreneurship and how to generate. When it comes to employment, yes or no? No employment. To my opinion, there are a lot of opportunities and employment. There are a lot of employment in India, but there is no quality employment in India. Why? So how to generate, how to develop this quality employment? We'll go step by step again. So quality employment. So when I came back to India so I was in a jazzy, peppy world, dream world, US and like good California life. When I came back to India, I didn't know what is negotiation. So we started Papa's Zapata and someone comes for the job and like sir, like how much you will pay and like how much do you expect? And like, so 13 to 15,000. Yeah, take 15,000, not an issue, go ahead. My partner Vikas, he used to be surprised, like, Arjun, what are you doing? Like, giving like 15,000? He asked for 13 to 15. Stop. Now, after experiencing 3 years in entrepreneurship in India, on ground level, I start with 7,000 guys. Trust me, I start with 7,000. I want quality employment. When I came back, we should have corporate Papa's Zapata culture and all. Now I start with 7,000. Why? Because I cannot pay more than 7,000. There is a real example last week. So there was a housekeeping guy, Dharamchandra. Housekeeping guy. He used to wash dishes. He quit the job and went to Bihar again in his hometown. He called me, sir, I want a job. Yeah, come. Sir, how much will you give me? 7.5 thousand. I want 8,000 only, sir. 7.5. Sir, 8. He kept calling me 1 week. I told 7.5 thousand. I cannot increase 500 rupees. Now I understand the value of 500 rupees. And he didn't come. He joined others. Quality employment. Now I want to give quality, but if I increase by 500 rupees, I have to increase all salaries of all these staff. And I did 2 years before this mistake. One guy asked me 1,000. Yeah, take 1,000 rupees extra. Everyone started asking 1,000. The entire salary of Papa's Zapata increased by 20,000. Lost to us. We want to do. So, margins is the game. So, how you can improve the quality of employment? Thank you. I got a rush now, yeah. So many things. So, margins. We can increase the margins of the companies. So, these days, things are going to increase the volumes. So, in last 5 years, guys, the game is of volumes. Swiggy, Food Panda, Book My Show, they want to increase the database and volumes. Nobody is thinking about how many of these startups are in profits in last 5 years. Percentage? None. So game is of volumes, but we have to increase the margins. How would you increase the margins? Through innovations. So you have seen Apple, product innovation, Walmart, service innovation or process innovation. Either to reduce the cost or get a very good product. How would you bring innovation? Innovation is commercializing ideas. And how do you commercialize the ideas? How would you bring innovation? Again, the reason is research outcomes, what we are doing. We have so many PhDs in India, but still we need to monetize and commercialize innovation also. How US is doing that. and we have to invite that culture and monetize from the university level. And last, how would you bring research outcomes through the help of government grants? Today we are in the era of Make in India, providing more employment. After 5 years, you will be seeing the Prime Minister saying research in India. We are not yet on that stage, but after 5 years, you will see research in India. And they will be giving grants for the research also. So that after masters, you will not be looking for jobs, you will be doing research and coming out the great ideas and products and services, because government is giving you 2 years grants, 3 years grants. So you need not worry about कि लड़की वाले आएंगे तो क्या बोलेंगे, जॉब ही नहीं है, या जॉब करना जरूरी है क्योंकि कार खरीदनी है, और you got to buy the house because somebody is there to take care of that. So government grants. With that, I conclude. Thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Arjun, for your passion. That's for sure. There's a lot of it. And definitely it's critical to make sure that entrepreneur can actually succeed. Thank you very much. So right now, the last speaker, so Dr. Raman, that some of you may know. And so the idea will be for Dr. Raman to again take it, as we did at the last session, taking it more from the student perspective, kind of it. So what you might need to actually become an entrepreneur, or if you're an entrepreneur, to make sure that that comes up from somewhere. Dr. Raman, please, the floor is yours.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you. I know I am standing between you and your lunch. Either you have to be the first speaker or possibly the last speaker so that you will be remembered. Thank you, Dr. Jyoti, for giving this opportunity. So I am going to be the last speaker of this entire conference, the last track, right? So that's me. I thought there will be a lot of crowd here, so I thought I'll put my picture also in it. So the first slide has got my picture. So that's me. I am Dr. Raman, Director SIBM Pune, okay, and the Dean of Faculty of Management, SIU. So the theme is going to be Future of Employment, Challenges and Opportunities. You heard enough of it. A lot of statistics. In fact, you can write a book if you are allowed to do that now. Or given an exam, I'm sure that you will fill at least 50 pages with possible data statistics which are there. And the track which is going to be here is about entrepreneurship and employment. I'm not going to give you any statistics per se. What I'm going to give you is what's going to happen to you. And it will be a participative one. You will guess it. Let us see if you're going to guess the right ones. Right? And the data that I have put up here is basically in discussion with two people. One is Shiv Kumar, who was heading PepsiCo, right now with Atibla Group. The other is Prince Augustine, who's with Mahindras. So I had a couple of opportunities to chat with them to understand more about this topic, because that's really important for me as I'm heading the B school here. So if you want more data, okay, you can go and look at this. It talks about the future of jobs, the World Economic Forum, the future of jobs 2018. It has got 147 pages, which gives enough data, sector by sector, talks about region by region, what is going to happen where. You can Google and get it. Here is the link for it. So having said that, I am not going to touch upon it. But I am a hardcore optimist. If you ask me, do you have jobs? Yes, there are a plethora of them. Want proof? Go to Naukri.com and search. A lot of them are there, dear. It's there, right? But it's about, do I have the skill set needed to fill that job opportunity which is posted there? That's what is the problem, right? So there are enough jobs. Now, let us talk about enough opportunities for entrepreneurship. Of course it is there. Look at the number of funds that are available. All you need to have is a great idea and ensure that you show it to them that you have it in you, you get the funds. Not a problem at all. But where is the gap then? The gap is, yes, there is a gap in me not having the skill for which there is an availability there. Similarly, not having a great idea and the ability to showcase that this idea will work to people who are ready to fund this idea. So that's the only gap that I feel which is there. So what is that I'm going to give you in the next 8 minutes time? is future in a few slides. The future ahead for you. A lot of them are students here, right? So future ahead in a few slides with respect to employment and opportunities. Now let us start the game now. Probability that you will change your job within 12 months of leaving the college. 50% or more. So that talks about what's future employment going to be. A lot of them will be job hopping. That's what I see when my graduates out of SIBM join a job, 12 months, quit, join something else. Because there are many opportunities, and rolling stone carries no mass, but rolling jobs carries more gross. Right? So they follow that principle and keep job hopping. Okay? Probability that your job, department or company will be restructured in the first 5 years of your career. Number. Exactly, more than 75% chance. Every organization is restructuring. They are changing the way they are operating. A lot of jobs are going off. You know that. You would have heard it for the past 2-3 days. And that's going to happen in the next 5 years for sure. Probability that you'll be forced to reskill, learn something new to survive in the next 5 years. Whatever you're going to read. Okay, 100? Great. There are some incurable pessimists also. But I feel it is more than 75% here. There is a good chance that whatever you have read, whatever you have learned, is not of any use to all of you in 5 years from now. Which means you should constantly learn and constantly relearn, unlearn. And that should keep happening. If you don't do that, it's going to be tough. Be it employment or be it entrepreneurship. It's going to be a tough job. So constantly learning and relearning is needed, else this will happen to you. Right? So the probability there is 75%. The probability that you'll work for a startup sometime in the next 5 years. Yeah? Yeah? 50%? I feel it's 25%. That's what is no, I don't have any statistical evidence for it. But my guesstimate says it's more than 25% chance that people will work for a startup 5 years from now. Especially after you graduate. This is something interesting. The probability that you'll work for another country, even if it is for a short stint. Work in another country, there is a good chance the probability there is more than 25%. Fine. The probability that you'll see many jobs wiped off in the next 10 years of your career. So the picture also tells 70%, okay? So a lot of people say that, hey, look, a lot of jobs are going to get wiped off. This happened when computers came in as well. People told no to computers. Telling there was manual reservation in railways, they told computers, no, we don't want it. There were unions who were striking. Today the same union says, I want more computers. Right? So if you say robotics, hey, it's going to wipe out all those jobs, yeah, it's going to happen, but there's going to be a requirement of new workforce that's needed to maintain the same robots, to reprogram the same robots, to possibly work with a robo. Okay? You shout at someone, that one reacts, but this one will not react. She will say, what is this not reacting? So you should know how to work with people and machines. So that's also going to be difficult, right? Because you stop expecting expressions out of that machine. So you will probably see many jobs wiped off, and my guesstimate is 50% or more. Probably that you'll have a bad boss in the first 5 years, right? You got millennials entering the workforce, and you got people who were not even, let me not get into the details, okay, who are the bosses, okay? What is the probability? More than 50% for those who are going to take up the jobs now in 1 or 2 years from now. The probability that you are going to report a woman boss in the first 5 years. More than 50%. The vice chancellor, the pro chancellor, the dean academics, even here are all women. Even your head is a woman. There are people who say women don't enter the workforce. But I see it something different. And let me tell you, when we have students who are entering SIBM Pune, we find that female students are outsmarting the male ones. They are doing extremely well. They are doing extremely well. So very soon you'll have so many people at the top who are going to be female. So you should know, because they're wired differently, right? You should know how to go and work with them as well when they're going to be the boss. the probability that you will start something new on your own when you're 40. Okay? I feel it's 50%. Many of you will not start immediately. That's what is the trend. And I've seen that a lot of alums quitting their jobs and taking something all by themselves because now the EMI is gone, there is a house, the loan is closed, kind of okay, I can manage, let me take the risk. This is happening at the age of 40, 42. So this is what, as I told you, I can't have a reference research output to tell that this is the right number, but the guesstimates are more than 50% chance. The probability that you'll borrow money to buy things in the next 5 years? More than 90%. I feel so. Okay, it might be wrong. But this is what is the guesstimate. The probability that you'll have a working spouse and hence you'll have to manage 2 careers. Okay? More than 50%. Okay? Well, this next one is really interesting and this has come out of my own experience in this academia for the past 15 years. The probability that you will put on weight in the first 2 years after leaving a job and taking an employment. Why? You say no. Okay, you can take a picture now and see what happens to you after 2 years. The reason is many of you are hooked on to desk jobs. Okay, that's what is happening. And there is more than 75% chance for this to happen. Okay. The probability that you will read at least 5 books in the first year after you leave the college. Okay, I'm talking to all those nerds here. Okay, if it was SIBM, the number is this. Okay, people don't read books today. You got summary, okay, read it and you know what it is. That's what happens generally. I might be wrong for this crowd. But yeah, Instagram, WhatsApp. There is an app which gives me of my liking the news, all that's happening. Okay, the probability that you'll spend more than 12 hours in a day on your phone or laptop. Exactly, more than 90%. Okay? And this is a bigger challenge in future employment. Take employment entrepreneurship, the probability that you'll face an integrity dilemma at workplace. Very low? Okay. The answer is more than 50%. You will definitely face integrity dilemmas when you are in workplace. You think it is all clear? Yes, 1 more minute, I'll close it. The probability that you'll see someone else help in your workplace for your work, more than 100%, which means you should know how to work in a team, which means you should also know how to go and help in a team. So that's what is the skill set that will never die, right? You'll have to have it in you. And the last, the probability that you like my presentation? Yes, I think so. And I think you agree with that. Thank you so much for this opportunity given. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you, Dr. Jyoti, for this opportunity that you have given to me. And I leave the dais to the moderator before you go for lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raman. Very nice presentation indeed. So just because we start, as Dr. Raman was saying, lunch is just there, so we won't take too much of your time. But I believe that it was actually a very good and interactive session. We got a lot of learning from it, being from what are the support which is needed by the India Inc. and how that India Inc. can actually push the growth of the country, and especially can provide even more opportunity for women to actually be able to work and to thrive, which is what the country is needed. And I'm very happy that during the course of the session we spoke a lot actually about women, which is definitely what India will need to grow in the near future. But we spoke also about the kind of a value that social entrepreneurship can bring, because entrepreneurship, it's not only about yourself, it's not only about profit, but it's also about the possibility to do something good and to actually create an entity that not only will actually make business, but will also solve some kind of a social issue. And then we spoke about what it's required to be able to become an entrepreneur, not only the passion, but actually the support system that exists around you, from the guidance that you need to receive, but also all what exists as an ecosystem, up to the governance system that might be useful at some point. But how that passion needs to drive you to make sure that you provide quality employment as well. And not only as you create your enterprise, but you provide quality employment for others. And then, last but not least, Dr. Raman, so provide us with the idea of what's going to be the future for you guys, and how that future, how we need to make sure that we have actually the right skill sets to make sure that we can grab the opportunity that's going to come in the future, either for employment or for entrepreneurship. And how, again, entrepreneurship will become a reality for you, for most of you. So how do you need that? So based on all that, if there are, we can take a few questions from the audience. We won't be long, but 2-3 questions. If you have a question which is specific to one of the panelists, please state it directly so they will be able to answer. So is there any question? There. Yeah, go ahead.
So good afternoon. I'm Chavan from Semester School of Economics, MSc second year. So my question is directed to Shilpa ma'am. As you are speaking about women in employment specifically and their working conditions and what happens to women once they marry or get pregnant and their career prospect. You are talking about as an organizational head, you would like to make some changes at your level. So my question specifically is, what are some of the actions that you would like to take in your organization to increase women's participation in spite of these problems?
Thank you.
Okay, so again, a topic very close to my heart, and we have been thinking about it, we have been working towards it, but it is really means I will differ a little bit from his presentation that maybe more than 50% of you will work for a women boss. But what the reality right now, at least what we see, is that getting women at the senior level is very difficult. Senior means as the MBA students, of course, they are girls' participation is very high. They are doing very well. But actually, when they join the workforce, unfortunately, the timing is wrong, because that is the time when they get married and they have to go through all the priorities, other priorities. And that time, if the workplace is organized in such a manner that it doesn't support women at all. That is my personal view. Because if you look at any city right now, like you take for example Pune, and your working hours are 9 hours, and commute time is minimum 2.5 hours, wherever you are staying in Pune somewhere, and so you are spending more than 11 hours outside your home every day. And I have young mothers who are leaving their 6-month-old kids somewhere, maybe with the parents or with family members or in a crash or something. But it means I don't think it is even humane to expect that they will leave their kids maybe for such a long time throughout the day. So of course the workplace is not organized in a manner that that will support women, and that is the major reason that most of the women, they drop out of workplace. I'm talking about organized workplace now here. They will drop out, and what I've seen is that if we support them in that critical period, so that period is not more, that period is just maybe 4 to 5 years. And if women get support in that period, then there is a high possibility that they will stay in the workplace and they will grow. So what we are planning to do is not only many of the IT companies, they have already taken these measures, that flexi time and part-time working and all that, but that is just not enough. You have to be really very sensitive to the needs of these women, and that is a critical time, because that in that time period they are expected to put in a lot in terms of career also and in terms of family also. So we have been working towards that, making them, maybe reducing their working hours to a certain extent.
Thank you. Thanks, Ito. So we're going to take another 2-3 questions at max, and then, so any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. So my question is to Shilpa ma'am and Suresh sir. You talked about entrepreneurship opportunities. So I want to know if caste has an impact or any role in availing the opportunities that are available. And I don't just mean entry into the market, but also if belonging to a certain caste restricts you to certain kind of work. So in your experience.
I think Suresh will be a better person too, because he's seen much larger landscape in terms of.
See, I don't think so. Caste is a problem. Caste is a problem if you are having cross caste businesses which is going to come up. But each caste in our country has a huge business opportunity. So I have not seen caste per se becoming a problem for anybody to enter into businesses. If you just look at, I think you have been hearing statistics, organized employment in this country is probably just 10%. What are 90% doing? Are they not doing anything? Are somebody giving endowments for them to survive? No, they're all doing something. They're all employed. That means they're all self-employed. There is one challenge here is in terms of defining entrepreneurship. We define entrepreneurship as something which is creating more employment, creating more wealth, creating bigger and bigger and so on. Yes, it might be true, we'll keep it. But if you look at many of them are self-employed. Are they not entrepreneurs? They might not have 100 employees in their company. They might have one or they might be self-employed alone. Each one is doing some business. So caste has never been a challenge. I just want to add one other point to the earlier question. One example I want to share, it's not a point. Women actually working in workplaces. Yeah, a lot of enterprises and businesses are not geared up for that. But I'll give you two examples which I know of. And I personally have seen them very closely. There is one company, I think in India here, called Seva Bank. I don't know how many of you know. There, most of the senior management is all women. The majority of the employees are also women. But there's one unique example I'll say, and then probably I'll pass on, is there's one company called MBK Ventura in Indonesia. I worked in that place. It's a microfinance company. I think you'll be very, very surprised to know 99.9% of the staff are women. They're not just a small, tiny organization which have 5 people, 10 people. They have their employee strength is about 1,500 or something. 99.95% are women. There are only few people who are men. You want to know what they all do? One is the managing director and his wife is the CFO. So both of them actually are the founders of the company. There are one other finance manager and probably one other person, I don't know what he does. All other men in this who are in that company are all drivers for all these women. This is the nature of this company. They work with about more than 1 million women clients. All these women work with million clients in Muslim dominated country which is Indonesia. So it's just a mindset according to what I feel. If we are prepared to accommodate them, we will be able to create systems, policies, procedures, infrastructure required for women to work. This is a standing example. This is not a new company. This company is there for the last 20 years, if I'm right.
Thank you very much. Just for me to know, when you were working there, you were one of the driver or? You don't need to answer that question, sorry.
No, actually they took me to show me how they work.
Okay, good. It's very nice, but and I do agree with you. There are a few companies that are doing that. But it's also true that the situation in India, unfortunately, is not as such. As Shilpa was saying, that there are only 25% of women which are actually working. And we see that there is an increase in terms of the enrollment in education, even in tertiary education, but unfortunately for most of the family, it's not so much to go and find the work, it's much more to increase marriage prospect, which should not be the role of education neither. And the re-entry into the workforce is the main problem. As soon as you get out, how do you come back into the workforce? Anyway, last question perhaps, and then we'll wrap up.
Hello everyone, my name is Manpreet Singh. So I have two questions. One first to Mr. Arjun and second is open to the panel. The first question is, what was the most difficult task for you when you came back to India and what is the challenge for your startup, the topmost challenge? The second question is, what is your particular view on the angel tax which is imposed on these startups by this government? Thank you.
Hello. So the biggest challenge was, first of all, my dad was against me quitting the job and convincing him that I want to. So he was not ready for that. Second is in startup particularly, it was very difficult. We don't get employees on LinkedIn. So getting the employment of that range in 8 to 10,000, that's the reality of actually what Ms. Shilpa showed that video. It was very connected to me because all these, we talk about, big numbers like GDP, or we talk about big models, but when it comes to hiring these people, it's 8,000. Okay, and somebody else is ready to give them 1,000 rupees more, they'll leave. So when I teach Mullins model or BCG models, or I teach maybe Peter Drucker's 4 pitfalls, and when I go to Papa Zapata and someone says that, sir, आज cashier तो आया ही नहीं. अब cashier नहीं आया तो उसमें BCG model what it will do, right? That we have to face the challenges, the ground reality. So in last 3 years, what I learned in those schools and yeah, it's there, but it's for corporates, yes. But when it comes to startups, definitely there has to be a different way of learning also. So these challenges were there. Secondly, it's competition is also very high. It looks like, some people come to me and say like, sir, food industry, it's growing like 100% profit margin. You're kidding me, 100% profit margin. So it's, 15 to 20 somewhere. Competition is very high. So because why they say they go on weekends only, Saturday, Sunday, and they see long queues in front of restaurants. They don't know like they are paying rent for Monday to Friday also, and salaries to employ Monday to Friday. When they do nothing, like employees like do something like. So those are the challenges, like the margins of competition is also high. So just to answer like how we are coping up with this competition, we have gone into, again, not margins, we are going into IT companies now, and we are playing in numbers and volumes. So instead of starting one outlet on FC Road or KP, we are starting 4 outlets in IT companies, and we are going in numbers and valuation of the company as Swiggy and all these are going. So that's making more sense for us to move forward.
Second question, the angel tax one.
Angel tax, actually, so in our startup, so there are categories of startups where they have the taxation. So R is standard. So just for everyone, if you think that there is no tax for startups, all these big companies would have shut down and they started their new companies with the legal name. So there is very small categories where you have innovation involved in and they get the benefit of that. We have standard GST, we have to pay 18%. So there is nothing benefit to our industry, like to Papa's and Butter.
Very good. So we come to the end of the session. I hope it was useful for everyone. I actually learned a lot from it, so I'm very happy to have been here. And then I believe that right now would be lunch, certainly soon, and perhaps something that we need to do now.
Thank you for providing interesting insights on employment in MSMEs, social entrepreneurship, how to nurture employment, and future of employment scenarios for the young generation. May I now request our chair, Mr. Clement Chauvenet, to kindly felicitate our speakers, Ms. Shilpa Pople, Mr. Suresh Krishna, Mr. Arjun Panchal, may I request our director, Dr. Jyoti Chandiramani, to kindly felicitate Dr. Raman. Yeah, to kindly felicitate Dr. Raman. Sorry for this confusion. May I now request Dr. Raman to kindly felicitate Mr. Clement Chauvenet. May I now request Dr. Jyoti to deliver her closing remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah. Traditionally, after a conference, you generally read the report. But I have to psychologically understand where all of you are coming from. You worked very hard for the last few weeks, some of us last few months, and if I were to sit to read the report, it would go into 12 to 13 pages, which I can't do. Because I need to understand the mindset, and that report can be sent to you through email to everybody. But what is very important is that we put this conference together and we called it the Future of Employment Challenges and Opportunities, a macroeconomic issue that needs to be addressed. And what I'm really happy is the kind of support we received from various think tanks and institutions who partnered with us to find this an absolutely imperative and important topic to be discussed. The first track that we had on Wednesday talked about the cross-country challenges and talked about how we need to civilize capital. And do you know that the difference between the capital flows in 2007-8 to what it is today is almost at 1/4. That means what was circulating at that point of time and what is circulating today, it's almost 1/4 of that today. When we come down to that, you remember Raja talking about how the Narega absolutely did create employment opportunities. But going step by step, if I have to talk about each track, I think the statistics track was one of those that really made us think and sit up that yes, you can talk about data, but what else are you going to talk about data? What are you going to do with the data and how are you going to address it? We have amidst us today a large number of students who are going to leave the gates of Symbiosis, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of challenges to take forward with you. In between, we had the curtain raiser, and some of you were there so graciously as students, as faculty, as our guests out there, and we talked about productivity, not necessarily equal to technology, and not necessarily equal to innovation. And we talked about the 3 or the 4 C's out there, and I think many of you would remember it. But going further, from the employment statistics yesterday to Martin Rama's conversations with you on how the macroeconomic stability needs to be absolutely sound to generate more growth and employment. And of course, we also know that growth may not be ideally also supported by employment. It depends upon what is the kind of growth. We came down to informalization, and we were corrected by one of the speakers in the last track. Don't call it labor reforms, but call it labor law reforms. Because you don't need to reform labor. We've come from that whole journey, and yesterday when we closed, we were told it's not really the reforms that are required, but there's something that goes much beyond that. And what is it that goes much beyond that? I don't know how many of you have heard about PISA, the test that India doesn't go through anymore for the schools. Because when we stand on that ranking, we stand right at the bottom. And I'm so heartened to know that so many of our students take part in the Teach for India, because that's exactly where you scale up through the Teach for India programs. So yesterday when we closed off at 7, and then you were back here today at 9, and you were enjoying this lovely scenario at Lovely, we knew that there were certain solutions to the problems of the future of employment, and we're looking at the opportunities. And Dr. Muzumdar said, education is the oxygen for development. We are all here just for that, to see how education can bring about a change. But something that Guntar's left back in his presentation, and I've always talked about it, is you can have knowledge, you can have skills, you can have everything. But it's all incomplete if you don't have the right attitude. Thank you. Absolutely. You need the right attitude. We are going to face challenges, and while I was reading about how to civilize capital, I came across a Lehman Brothers report, and I came across a Financial Times reading, which I must share with you today at the end of the day, where people who were working for various organizations in 2007-8 have given up, and Suresh will be happy to know that they have more purpose, because today they've got into some kind of social business or social entrepreneurship. So what we stitched together was a very interdisciplinary conference, talking about the firm, the productivity, the technology, the global macroeconomic environment, the data that you know. From the data you come down to the informalization and the unorganized characteristics of our labor, the reforms, and then I say ESE, and education, skills, entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship. We've reached here a full circle. I know I've not done justice to what a lot of people have spoken, but every chair has concluded. But with this, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all our partners, Axis Bank, the university, Dr. Raman, Cleme, who's just left UNDP, Guntars, who's here from Riga, Latavia, who traveled across because we have a great association with ASEF, SIBM, SCIE, ICRIAR, IHT, and all of you, my partners. Thank you so much, because without you, we wouldn't have been able to make it today. Thank you.
As we draw to the end of this conference, I hope there were constructive takeaways for everyone present. Yes, I again thank all the delegates, faculty, and students for taking out time from their busy schedule to attend this conference. May I request all the dignitaries on the dais to gather for the group photograph. May I ask Devdulal sir?
JB, may I ask all the faculty to come up? All SSA faculty.
May I have all the faculty on stage for the group photograph?
People won't be visible much.
Somebody can come. Position yourself between faces so that you can see everybody. I want to see nobody missed out.
Okay. Sir, up. Sir, up. Sir, Fajar. Bahar. Yes, sir. Haan, that's right. Better. Madam. Good enough. Okay. Let me take a test shot. Oh, perfect. Hang on. Okay. Nice and smiling, everybody. Thank you very much. All right. Fine.
विनय जी आप भी आएंगे. श्वेता मैम.
Come.
विनय सर. वरती जा का. वरती जा. वाईट नाही बसणार, तुझं पण नाही बसणार, माझं पण नाही बसणार. मागे ना विषय. थोडंसं मागे घे. बस. कॅमेरा मागे घे रे भाऊ. लवकर कर ना. Okay, shall we?
Yes.
Just one more, please. Thank you very much, everybody.